Hello and welcome to Journeys and Journals. I get to visit people from all over, but this is the first time I've had a guest from Germany. My guest today is our American hero, Stephen Hyland. He comes all the way from, well, let's ask him. Where in Germany are you, Stephen?
I'm currently in Ansbach, Germany, which is about 30 miles west of Nuremberg in the state of Bavaria.
And what's a little kid from Southern Oregon, fifth generation, right, from Southern Oregon, doing in Germany?
Well, I joined the military and they paid my way through medical school, and I wanted to go to Germany. It was one of the choices of where I could serve, and I was fortunate to get assigned to Germany.
Now, Germany's not your first stop on this be doctor in foreign places. Where else have you served?
As a doctor, I went to Iraq for a year, went to Turkey, and as a medical student, I did a few mission trips.
Where all did you go on your mission?
To the Amazon in Brazil, and also to, well, it wasn't as a doctor, but I had been in Thailand also.
Well, what were you doing in, that's not the only place, you were also in Sri Lanka, weren't you?
Correct, that's really where I was raised.
Why were you off in Sri Lanka as a, what, 2-year-old?
Well, that would be Mom and Dad's, because of Mom and Dad were serving as missionaries there.
Mom, Patty Hyland, welcome to Journeys and Journals.
Thank you.
I know people have seen you on other shows here on Better Life TV, but I see you with your badge on. What's it say?
Well, we're supporting the military through prayer
And
through letters and other means.
now,
We have many ways we can support them.
now I see here in the audience today one of those supports, and I understand she's had an impact on your life, Stephen.
Yes, Peggy Carpenter. Jim, her son, and I were in the same grade. Went to school together several years, and they've always been friends, and she wrote to me, even though I never wrote her back. But it was very encouraging to know that she was supporting me, because she is definitely a comedian, and we have many happy memories in their family.
If you look in the Courier, you'll often see the byline there. She's writing about some childhood memory out in Williams, or her family. Well, they came across, I think I've heard her said they're older than dirt. They came on the Pioneer Trail. My connection with your family, this is an early picture of your father. He is here striking the piñata, a hard blow. These were made by the braceros for us during hop picking. They had time off to do some play too. While you were in these, oh, here's the hop picking picture with your uncle, Buddo, Harold. Harold, he went off to a different war.
He served in the Pacific during World War II.
And strong and healthy now. I saw him at your party the other night.
Yeah, he just left to go back to Sutherland this morning. So.
Yeah, and then we now reach Sutherland, and you hopefully soon the signal will be going to Eugene.
Eugene, up into Lane County.
Lane County too.
Also.
Patty, I've asked you on because you've had such an impact. I understand supporting not just our Stephen, but men and women throughout our Southern Oregon area. How do you do that?
Well, originally we met at Road Community College every Thursday evening. And we had grandpas and grandmas there. We had moms and dads there for this support group. And it grew in number. We had quite a large group. And there was a small group of us that kind of had a little prayer group too afterwards. And then we kind of mushroomed around the area in different churches and different community halls. And since then, we've really kept in touch through many ways. And we wear our little badges to remember to support our troops.
In what ways have you supported?
Well, right now, we're working on sending some funds to a lady that is a niece of General Patton. And she is asking us to send a donation for scarves. Now we keep thinking, wow, you know, it's 100 and some degrees, why wear a scarf? But these scarves are special scarves. They have crystals in them, and when you dip them in water, and they just turn into like an ice pack. And they wear these around their necks, and you can imagine being in total fatigue uniform, you know, with battle armor and their guns and their all these you know, kits that they wear, and their heavy boots, and I guess probably Stephen can tell you more about that, but it weighs about 100 pounds or so, all this equipment they have to wear, and it's 140 degrees there. Can you imagine?
No.
And I know Stephen said he had to treat quite a few because of heat exhaustion. You know, it was so hot there, and here they're wearing all this full battle armor and fatigue uniform. So these scarves mean a lot, and if they can put an ice pack around their neck, even for 10 minutes, and these last up to 15 hours, some of these ice pack scarves.
Oh,
So we're
that's fun.
trying
And
to send
how much
those.
do they cost?
Well, they cost $14. They're a little expensive maybe, but not so much when you think about the good it does. When that wears out after the 15-hour period, they just dip them back in the water again. And these little crystals activate and freeze that scarf, and so they can put it around their neck and wear it for another 15 hours.
Well, I'd sure like to send one of those. Maybe some
It's a
people
real
here,
blessing.
some of the people that are watching today would like to. How will we find where to send our $15?
Well, we can give the names and address. If they could email me, I could give
Well,
them
we'll
the
just
full
put it right here
name
on
and
this
address.
strip.
Hyland@cavenet.com.
That's who you are.
That's who I am.
And-
Hyland@cavenet.com.
We're, yeah, because you live out in Cave Junction, right?
Well, part of the time we pastor in the Illinois Valley, but we live in Grants Pass.
Out on the Christie Hop Yard,
Yes,
right?
Lower River Road.
That place has been part of my growing up years. Next door to the DeArmonds and the whole Christie family and the Hiltons.
Yes.
Some people may remember picking hops out there. And Stephen, what are you doing here?
Oh, this is right after I graduated from medical school, and that's the swearing in as a captain on active duty in the U.S. Army.
And you promised to.
To uphold the Constitution and serve the country.
Thank you for doing this. But this one's before that. That's when you graduated from school.
That's graduation from college.
Uh-huh.
You notice he has 2 tassels. He graduated in 2 different areas.
Oh, what are they?
I had a Bachelor of Arts in business and in psychology.
Well, we'll talk more. I could use a little counsel on that. Stephen, I'm pretty excited about this. It looks like you're playing doctor.
That was in medical school, and in medical school, you after the first 2 years of basic sciences, then you start seeing patients in the hospital. And this was our pediatrics rotation. You rotate through all the major services. And so this was several of my classmates and our the pediatric resident, and our staff pediatrician. So,
Well, Stephen, did you see local Iraqi people in your practice while you were in Iraq?
we saw some. I was located mainly in 2 different places. Fob Spiker, and then at Fob Warhorse, which is in Bakuba. And in the Bakuba area, we would see several of the Iraqi soldiers, and then from time to time, the soldiers, when they were out on patrols, would bring back injured Iraqis, either sometimes children, other times various local leaders, and then we also treated some of the prisoners.
Well, it has to have been a tough job over there, and we're proud of all of our service personnel, men and women. Patty, what I found this.
This was in last night's newspaper, and I just happened to see it, and I said, oh, fantastic. This is coming up soon.
We're filming here in September.
Right.
And what was this about?
This will be a Veterans Special Walk of Honor. And if you would like to put your favorite veteran down, and of course our favorite one is Stephen, but maybe you have a father or grandfather, uncle or aunt, or someone that has been in the military, just send their name in, and their name will be inscribed on this Veterans Walk of Honor at the Merlin Veterans Park.
You mean I can do that for Doug?
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
What a
You need
good
to do
idea,
that.
because he was a sailor boy.
Right?
And Stephen, those are the shiniest shoes I ever saw. Do you have to spit polish those?
No, these are the Army's plastic suit shoes.
Oh, no, they don't do that anymore. We had a friend, a good friend of Better Life Television and of mine, Bill Young, and he was in the military in the reserve between World War I and World War II. It was sort of a way to earn some money, I think, so he told him he was 18 when he was 16. He said that over at Camp White, an agate desert is what they used to call that place, they had jiggers. And I think that's something like thistle, and those World War I guys wore woolen leggings. And I think the weather in Camp White was pretty close to Iraq. He said those guys would be walking in this wool uniform and wool leggings, and they just keel over. Hot, hot stuff. What can we do to help you? What relief is there for a guy who's...
Well, mostly encouragement from home is the biggest way you can help. Right now the infrastructure is pretty much built up so that your basic necessities of life are taken care of. But a lot of times just the long deployments, not being able to be close to friends, family, and thoughts from home. Those are probably the things you miss the most.
Well, and you've had a support group over here, this side, right? Patty, what kind of support do you, as a group of women and men, parents, grandparents, what kind of support do you offer these kids? Oh, I shouldn't call you kids, should I, Stephen?
Well, they're all grown up, but Stephen talked about some of the young people. We put their names in our church bulletins. We remember them every single day at 6:00 p.m. We're remembering those in the military, and at our church we have a prayer chain, and these people in the prayer chain are all remembering those names in the bulletin. We always have at least 8 or 9 names in our church bulletin. And I know other churches do this too, because I visited some of the other churches, and they also especially remember them in prayer. And with the little care packages. Christmas is coming, and of course we find out when their special birthdays are too, and we like to send them little care packages.
Yeah, like toothpaste and toothbrushes, or do you get plenty of those over there in the...
Well, they especially like baby wipes and things like that, that kind of cool them off instantly. Some things that are not available there. And we have a whole long list.
Okay, and how's that list available?
You can go through the Hyland at cavenet.com, and I'd be glad to send a list to anyone interested.
Oh, wonderful. Well, here's a little remembrance the way it was. This is Dad, huh?
That's Dad.
Dad grew up out there on the hop fields, 4th generation, I think,
He's
isn't
fourth,
he?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture of your uncle.
It's Dad with the Uncle Harold and Aunt Barbara's wedding photo there.
But you see, he was a sailor boy, and now you're a soldier boy. I brought a few hops just so that you'd know. I think those, as your dad said, I think those are a little past ripe.
Nothing.
No smell.
You have a real love for Oregon. As I recall, the Rogue River, Applegate River, what was your pastime?
Oh, the summers were always fun to go rafting. Any kind of water activities have always been fun. I enjoyed the water, and the Rogue River was a scene for many of those events.
Kayaking. Always enjoyed that. Going over those rapids down there, Rainy Falls and all those places.
Oh my, that sounds scary.
It was fun.
That was fun. Did your boat turn around and around in those?
No, it went pretty much straight through.
Oh, great. I think Brent did a little dipsy-do there. Tell me, Stephen, some of your favorite parts of this. Mom wrote up, you've got all kinds of credits here. Maybe you don't want to brag about yourself, but we'd kind of like to hear what all you've been doing since.
Well, that was basically, I had the opportunity to be the commander of our clinic, and there was a ceremony basically where the outgoing commander,
Passed the
passes
gavel or something?
our
Baton, they call it there, I think.
it's the banner and to the new commander, and so it basically describes my history in that document there, and the outgoing commander, and with that opportunity of taking command, you realize the importance of supporting each other even more than when you're not in command, and the struggles that various people face, especially when their family members are deployed.
Team effort, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How long can you stay around here?
Well, basically I got to come home for about 10 days, and I'll be leaving Grants Pass on Friday and then back to Germany on Monday.
And you have to go space available or military or?
No, I usually fly civilian flights.
Okay, well, Patty, tell me some of the things you will let him close his ears, but what do you plan to tuck in his suitcase so that he remembers Grants Pass, Southern Oregon, Medford?
Well, just today we were going through old newspapers from 1930, and he was very involved with those newspapers, looking at those, and he's very much into history and this type of thing, and any history from the newspapers was quite exciting to him, even before his dad was born. So we found those just today as he was actually inspiring us to clean out the attic.
And they do have an attic, just like a real attic.
It's a real attic.
Your grandma had a house up on the hill with a real, I guess you called it a loft, or I don't know, over the kitchen. There was a room, but to get there you had to go up a ladder. And that's where I first,
Yes.
oh my.
You have to go up a ladder to get into this attic too.
You do.
And he was perspiring from head to foot. you know, tossing all these boxes and things down from the attic so
Well,
we
Patty,
could go through it all.
how long since you've lived in your own home?
Well, we keep saying, well, I think I was homeless 10 years, but actually it wasn't quite that long. But we lived in our motorhome. Our house was rented, and then we were 4.5 years in the mission field in the islands of Palau. And so we felt like it was kind of nice to be able to get back into our own home after all this time. It was really special.
Grandpa Sam probably took some of those 1930s stuff up
No
there.
doubt, no doubt.
Now, in Palau, tell me where it is. If I go to Australia, am I going to be running across Palau?
Well, actually, it's just south of Guam, almost 1,000 miles, and about 500 miles just east of Mindanao. And it's a group of islands. There's about 200 islands there. 4 of them are actually inhabited. And one of the larger islands is where they have the airport, and our home was on that larger island too.
Stephen, were you ever able to visit your folks there?
Yeah, he was there.
I was able to go actually
Twice,
yeah.
3 times, twice.
And were you doctoring at the time?
No, I was in medical school at the time, and it was more of a vacation.
He went diving, and he dove with, 18 sharks. He could even tickle the tummy of one of the sharks. And he wasn't a bit afraid. It scared me to death, but
Yeah, look to see if you've got all 10 fingers, Stephen.
he
You
was
have been-
excited about it.
Lots of things that you've done have been really courageous, right? I mean, you like the wild, you like new experiences, and so whether you're living in a tent, well, didn't I hear that where you lived in Sri Lanka, you had almost no modern conveniences?
Well, sometimes. That's true, sometimes.
Folks I heard about, she'd wash the rice, and then that was the day before, and when she got ready to cook it, it had started moving again, and so she'd wash it again and again and again.
Take out the rocks so you wouldn't ruin your teeth.
But there were things besides
Little-
rocks
few
that were
little
moving
worms.
around. You know,
Our son and our daughters still say that I forced them to eat semolina with worms in it.
you'd agree.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
After a while, you don't mind too
you
much.
mentioned your daughter. Let's just talk a little bit about how she came into the family.
Well, we had a big Winnie the Pooh with us, and we went to a...
Like a teddy bear thing?
Yeah, a great big Winnie the Pooh that was in the back window of our car. And she happened to see that in our car when we were at a wedding at the college. And she thought, Winnie, she looked at that and looked at it. She just had to get close and see it. And so when she finally got close enough, and Stephen opened the car door and she crawled in, then he locked it. He locked her in. He wanted a sister. He wanted a playmate. And he captured one.
And you kids were what, 6 and 8?
6 and 5.
6 and 5, real close. And she's now living in the Portland
In
area, I
Portland.
understand.
She's
And-
married, has a business.
Well, now let's get back to Patty. How has it been to have, I mean, there's lots of people here with sons, daughters, grandchildren in the military. And you mentioned praying, and you mentioned care packages and sending these cool-off things.
These towels, scarves.
When you're thinking about Stephen, what thoughts go through your mind about, what can I do? That's what I guess we're all saying. What can we do to help you guys? Let you know you're not alone.
I would say just basically the letters, the care packages, and sending pictures of life at home, finding out what the soldiers' families, what the soldier likes, and just showing that regardless of whatever they're facing, that there are people back home that care about them and support them.
And what do you
Amen.
find that moms and dads are asking you, Patty?
Well, they're asking the same thing. What can we do? How long do we have to wait? And sometimes it's a long wait. You know, it starts out being 9 months and then it stretches to 12 and now it's 15 for many of them. So it's an anxious wait, but yet I think we can support them with our hugs and our empathetic understanding, with our love shown in other ways too, by phoning them up. Say, here, I'm right here for you. If you want to talk, phone me up and we'll talk. And we'll get together and have a little lunch together and do things together. And we've done that with quite a few of the wives of military as well as parents.
Well, you use the term empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
I find my cancer support group to be so empathetic.
It's
Empático,
wonderful.
Mother used to
Yeah.
say in Spanish.
It's wonderful.
And I think that that's what, you know, if it weren't for Stephen, I wouldn't know anybody in uniform right now. But I know that there's people watching out here who have their hearts just being tugged when they see you, and know you're safe, and
Mm-hmm. Right.
know that we can make a difference for you, just letting you know how important you are.
I actually think it's harder for the family members. So, you know, if they can interact together and share each other's burdens, that's helpful, because as soldiers, you know, for the most part, we are trained for the job. We know what we're facing as much as we can, and you know, everybody wants to do their job and to serve their country, and does it. It's I think in some cases it's easier for the soldiers than it is for the people at home.
Thank you so much,
that's
Stephen
true.
and Patty, for being my guest. And say hello to Vern. Nice to
Thank you.
know that we've got the whole Hyland family on board. We're proud of you. We're proud of our American boys and girls, men and women. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Bernie Martin Beck saying goodbye for now. And thanks, Peggy, for writing those letters.